Hey, everybody. It is a great day to be great, and you are great for watching The Sweat presented by Tommy John. I am Emerson Latzia. You are Jesse Cofield. We're feeling comfortable. We're feeling beautiful today. I'm ready to relax on the couch. I'm looking like I can go from the couch to the coffee shop. I can do so much.
If you didn't know, if you didn't realize from Emerson's monologue, we're wearing Tommy John right now. Our
little quarter zip,
our
dude.
Tommy John, and they are so comfy. And don't forget, it is
Yes,
Cyber Monday.
man.
Okay, be sure to check out all Tommy John. Use the code DraftKings for 35% off all your Cyber Monday shopping.
Yeah,
and let me tell you, this stuff is soft.
Dude, I am hitting up the Tommy John website after this show because I need new underwear after what the Jags did against the Ravens yesterday. Goodness gracious. Let's go ahead and welcome in a couple.
Gross.
Couple other friends of ours. Jeff Ulrich and Pierce Dietrich, two DraftKings contributors here for a little bit of an NFL hangover segment here, guys. Let's start with the Bengals. Let's start with the Bengals knocking off the Titans in Smashville, which means Cincinnati. Are you okay? Which means Cincinnati has rallied from an 0-2 start. They're now 7-4 through 11 games here. If these two sides were to meet for a second straight year in the playoffs, Jeff, which team are you taking?
Which team do you think I'm going to take there, pal? I'm going to take the team with Joe Burrow, the guy who's got clutch in his veins, just running through every single portion of his body. Joe Burrow, 14-3 now away, ATS as an away team since the start of 2021. The Bengals are just a solid team. They don't even have Jamar Chase or Joe Mixon in the lineup. They go to a windy day against Tennessee. Team who's got Ryan Tannehill to try and bring them back from the abyss, and aging Derrick Henry. Yeah, no, Joe Burrow takes care of business. That's exactly what he did there. He's going to do it again in the playoffs, too. I'm really starting to get a pretty solid feeling about this Bengals team, man. No one's talking about them. They're just going out there, taking care of business. Their defense is looking better. They protected Joe Burrow against a very, very good defensive line. They've done it the last 3 weeks in a row since getting demolished by the Browns. Always a worry that offensive line is going to regress. Man, if they keep Joe Burrow upright, the stats when Joe Burrow does not get pressured or get knocked down on every single snap are pretty much insane. I mean, you can make an argument he should be right up there in terms of, alongside Patrick Mahomes in terms of the best passers in the league. This team is legit. It's starting to peak. Very bullish on the Bengals. I would also look to take the piece of them to win that division. Baltimore cannot score points right now. We'll talk about them in a sec. But, yeah, I would definitely take the Bengals in this matchup again.
Yeah, Pierce, I feel like the Titans are good, but they're going to have like a tough time in the playoffs stringing together multiple ugly wins.
I don't think the Titans are good, and they will have a tough time trying to string together wins when they're out facing nobodies. I mean, you look at their schedule, look who they have beaten and gotten to the point that they're at. They beat no one. They don't beat playoff teams. When they face a playoff team, they lose. Same story was the case last year. The same story is the case almost every year in the AFC South. We can go back to Peyton Manning, Andrew Luck, just walking through the AFC South, getting some home field advantage and maybe making it somewhere in the playoffs. But that didn't even happen for Tennessee last year. They walked through the terrible AFC South, got a bye, got home field, and then when they played a real team, they lost. Same thing will happen. They'll go to the playoffs. They'll probably get a bye, and it'll be one and done. See you later. Tannehill doesn't have it. I mean, Derrick Henry had 2.2 yards per carry yesterday. Not looking very good. I don't know what Tennessee has, but they do benefit from the schedule. Cincinnati, better team, but they've got a tougher schedule.
Yeah.
They need to start winning by a little bit more to make you feel comfortable because they're constantly in these close games and close games with teams that they should be beating a little bit more sufficiently. The line's got to improve. It can. The receivers need to get completely healthy. They will soon. Definitely the right direction is the Bengals. Tennessee will be fine, but just fine.
Yeah,
Tennessee's in my top 3 for Aaron Rodgers' watch, by the way, this offseason. They're already in the top 3.
Oh, I love that, man. Pierce, I'm glad you brought up the schedule, too, at Cincinnati. It is ridiculous. They face Kansas City at home, then they're going to face Cleveland with Deshaun Watson at quarterback, then Buccaneers on the road, the Patriots right after that, and they're going to close with Buffalo and Baltimore at home. And speaking of Baltimore...
Yeah, the other AFC North-South game making headlines. Jacksonville's thrilling win over the Ravens. Trevor Lawrence has his franchise quarterback game. Doug Peterson stays aggressive. Okay.
Timothy!
Justin Tucker's 67-yard attempt comes up a few yards short.
I was nervous about
Okay,
that.
so what's Baltimore's biggest problem right now, Pierce?
that Baltimore, they've got a lot of problems. They've got too many problems to list. And it's been clear all season. It was clear last season. They finally lost a game that they were supposed to lose. I mean, you look at the way they played against the Panthers, 13-3 win. They nearly lost to the Browns. They did lose to the Giants. The team just does not look good. The offense just does not have the weapons. Lamar's fine, but he needs a little bit of help. Maybe Dobbins comes back and Edwards gets healthier, and if the running game could come back, then you could see this team look like it did in 2020. But this looks like the 2021 version where they didn't have any running backs, they didn't have any receivers. Their offense really would struggle. They would only move the ball in shootouts. The defense, the pass defense, not really that good this year. They've taken a step back since losing Wink Martindale as a defensive coordinator. We don't talk enough about that. We've seen the Giants improve a lot since the new DC signed there. Ravens just aren't the same team. And, hey, they could be missing Lamar Jackson for a couple games. We'll see how this whole Twitter thing goes down with his comments. I guess we can blame it on Elon Musk or something. Maybe it'll get brushed under the rug. But last I checked, he wasn't deleting that post. So that'll be interesting to see how the NFL responds to that.
Yeah, he ended up deleting it last night. It was up, though, for hours.
Yeah.
It was a little aggressive, just a wee bit.
Just a wee bit. Jeff, Ravens still the favorite to win the division, and they have the easiest schedule left, okay? Playing just one game against a team 500 or better. That's the Bengals in Week 18.
Yeah, and look, I mean, Pierce and I definitely agree on the Ravens. We don't agree about much, but this is a team that just gets carried in the regular season by Lamar Jackson and Justin Tucker, quite frankly, making these 60-yard field goals at the end of the game. How many times has Justin Tucker done that for them? I thought he was going to make it too, Emerson. I was scared. But, like, you look at this Ravens secondary, they made Trevor – I mean, like, I don't think Trevor Lawrence had an incomplete pass in the last quarter. And, yes, let's give some credit to Trevor Lawrence. He played fantastic. But, like, this secondary is not good. Their linebackers stink at coverage. I mean, there's too many holes. We could talk about all the holes on their defense and offense here for the rest of the show. They don't have any wide receivers. Lamar Jackson is behind Russell Wilson in yards per pass attempt this year. So he's 18th in the league. I mean, that's fine. Like, you can make up for that. You can mask that against weak teams because of how Lamar's rushing ability and just how good Greg Roman's offense does run the ball. That's not going to win you games in the playoffs. It's not going to win you games against good teams when you need to produce. So this team gets carried in the regular season. It's done it for 2 years now by some elite players. They just don't. They're not. You can't put them anywhere near the elite teams in either conference right now. So the Ravens are what they are. They'll probably make the playoffs. I don't think they're going to do much again. They'll probably be another one and done, and then we'll see. You know, is Lamar going to head out? So obviously, maybe not in a good mood right now. So.
Yeah, and I don't know if there's an elite team to be found in the NFC South, which the Buccaneers are still leading, but only because somebody has to win it. So that was an overtime loss to the Browns on the road. That was an ugly one. Jeff, you think Tampa Bay will be an easy outcome playoff time if they even get there?
So Tampa, I don't think they'll be an easy out. Let's start with that. I think that the way the NFC is set up, the top teams are good. There's some solid teams, but they also all have some flaws. Tampa Bay has shot themselves in the foot a lot this year, and I don't think that I wouldn't put them alongside necessarily San Francisco or Philly or even Dallas, but they're close. Like, there's not that much between these two teams. And could Tom Brady and Chris Godwin and Mike Evans get it together for a game and upset a team? Yeah, I think that the Buccaneers will be the team that people don't want to face. I mean, this is a team who I fully expect to potentially pull off an upset. Now, do I think they're going to make a run to the Super Bowl? No, I don't think they're good enough. I don't think their rush defense is good enough as it's been in past years. The offense is way too inconsistent. But are they still a good team? Yeah, I do think they are. They should have won that game. I don't know who's managing the timeouts on the sideline for Tampa, but when you have 32 seconds and you let half the clock run off after a dump-off pass, I mean, literally, what are you doing? So, yeah, the Bucs should have won last game. They've done that before. They blew at least one other game prior to this. So they could have a lot better record right now. I think eventually they'll eke out the division because Atlanta just can't win games anymore. So the Bucs will get in, and I would not be shocked at all if they pulled off an upset. But do I expect them to make a run to the Super Bowl? Absolutely not.
Yeah, the Bucs are still in good shape in the NFC South. Reality or overreaction in your eyes, Pierce?
They're fine. The NFC South is a pretty tough, I mean, not tough as in good, but tough to watch division. Even the Buccaneers, you mentioned they had an ugly loss. Well, their wins are ugly as well.
Yeah.
Every game, I mean, you go to any Buccaneer game, tell me that, oh, that looked good. They are really rolling. We never say that after a Buccaneers game. The offense should be much better than it is. It's just average at best. The defense, we expected a little bit of them to come down to earth, and they are slightly above average, but they're nothing really to write home about. This team doesn't do anything exceptional, nothing exciting. And while I do agree that this team could get a home field, they will get a home field game to start the playoffs, and that should benefit them, and maybe they can make it into the next round. But what if they draw, the NFC East wildcard team, the Cowboys, or possibly the Eagles, or even, maybe one of these I think they're going to have a pretty tough matchup. They're not going to match up well. And Jeff talked about this earlier in the season. It's still the case. The offensive line just hasn't played that well. Brady is not able to get the ball downfield. You have to be able to stretch the field in the modern NFL. Once that goes away and teams can start cheating up and not honoring the deep pass, it kills your run attack. It kills your pass attack. We saw this happen to Drew Brees late in his career. Couldn't complete passes down the field, and then the Saints just collapsed. Their defense carried them a couple seasons, but you knew it was over. We're getting to that point with Brady. Might still have the arm strength, but if the line doesn't improve, they're not going anywhere.
Oh,
Speaking of not going anywhere, it appears the Packers fall to 4-8. 4-8! Aaron Rodgers leaves the game. Jordan Love finishes it. Is it an overreaction here to say Green Bay should shut down Rodgers for the year? Rodgers says he plans to play on Sunday.
Yeah, go ahead and shut him down.
Yes.
He's got a broken thumb or whatever that's worse than we had all believed, and they're going nowhere. Even if he didn't have a broken thumb, you've got Jordan Love. You might as well see what you have right now. If they're going to try to trade Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, you better kick the tires on Jordan Love. Just think, though, this team could have traded Aaron Rodgers in the offseason to Denver and got that Herschel Walker type of steal and basically rebuilt the franchise in one season like the Seahawks have done. No, that's not the case. Green Bay now has a quarterback with a broken thumb who's aged out. They have a backup quarterback that they've never tested. Their running back window is closing. They don't have any receivers. Their defense has absolutely collapsed. This team has got some dark days laying ahead.
Mm-hmm.
All right, Jeff, what do we think? Do you feel like we should just shut down Rodgers for the year / forever? It seems like you think he may be going to a different team.
Well, the Packers would like him to go to a different team, but they're like as Pierce alluded to, what team is going to trade for an aging 39-year-old quarterback after seeing what Russell Wilson did to the Broncos in this offseason? No, that window is done, unfortunately. I don't know what the Packers are going to do. They may have to hope Aaron Rodgers retires, but considering the guy wants to come back and play after getting smoked in the chest and then dealing with a thumb injury, I don't think that's going to happen either. We got controversy ahead is what we got for the Packers. And yeah, they definitely missed their window. As far as what they should do this year, yeah, just tell Aaron Rodgers to go take a 10-week vacation at whatever place he's going to go meditate at or whatever, and let Jordan Love and see what they got. Because what we saw last night from Jordan Love, they may have something special again, and it's crazy, yes, they should have taken a wide receiver and really gone all in on Aaron Rodgers 2 years ago in 2020 when all those receivers were there. But at the same time, they did take a shot on a high upside quarterback, and it may just pay off. I'm really interested to see what Jordan Love can offer. I thought he looked pretty decent in some starts last year, but we don't really know until we get a couple game stretch here. So the Packers need to see what they've got at this point. And yeah, they need to explore trading Aaron Rodgers in the offseason, regardless of what that may, entail or not. So very interesting time in Green Bay. Aaron Rodgers looks like, as per usual, he's not going to make this easy for them.
All right, well, Week 12 is going to wrap up tonight, Monday Night Football, little Steelers-Colts action here. Let's start with the showdown contest available on DraftKings. Pierce, who do you want to captain tonight?
Paris Campbell.
Oh, wow, that's like Jeff's guy, too.
Oh, is it great? So we'll just repeat what we're going to say. Maybe
Awesome.
I'll say something different.
Sounds
You
good.
go Paris Campbell, pal. I got a different angle. It's
Oh,
okay.
look
You
at
go
this.
ahead.
Look at you two working together. This is
okay.
beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. The second round pick out of Ohio State, finally healthy, was having his breakout this season. Then Ellinger came in. He disappeared. Matt Ryan is back, and Campbell is back to playing well. 776 and a touchdown. He followed that up with 5 catches for 56 yards against a pretty tough Philadelphia defense. And he's facing a tough team here defensively, technically. But the big thing you like is that Campbell plays out of the slot, and Arthur Mollett, the slot cornerback for Pittsburgh, is ranked outside of the top 100, allowing a 75% completion rate, a 125 quarterback rating. It's a great matchup. I think this is a place that you want to take advantage. And just Matt Ryan seemed to have a solid connection with Paris Campbell.
All right, Jeff, Steelers, I feel like are going to try to really rattle like Matt Ryan with TJ Watt and friends. I think the real problem for Pittsburgh, right, going to be the suddenly red-hot Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah, I mean, I think Pittsburgh has the D-line to slow down Jonathan Taylor. And I think that a lot of people will be looking at that and going up there. But I think that when you're looking at the showdown here, and I have this like just written down, there's no value at the bottom of the slate, like after the defenses, after the kickers. So what you need to do is, and that's why I had Paris Campbell circled as well, you need to take one of these value receivers and put them in your captain. And there's a lot of upside. It's not just Paris Campbell. I do like that call, obviously, but Pat Freiermuth, George Pickens, and I think Freiermuth is definitely a viable captain's candidate tonight. 19 targets over his last 2 games. You know, you look at what Kenny Pickett is doing, really trying to target over the middle of the field, and Freiermuth isn't just getting these like little, 5-yard, 8-yard passes. He's getting targeted like downfield. It's a big dude in the middle of the field. Going to get some red zone targets as well. Pittsburgh probably going to be in a pass-happy situation just because of Indianapolis's defensive line. So I think Najee Harris gets shut down. I think Jonathan Taylor may even have a slow night, but I like the spot for all these wide receivers on both sides of the ball. You can even throw Alec Pierce in the mix here on the other side. But give me Pat Freiermuth. He's only 6,400 in the flex, so he's not going to cost you much to captain either. I think one of these receivers is where you have to go, though. You got to play the variance, and you got to hope that one of these guys gets like that big night. Maybe even, and Freiermuth to me is someone who could show up with a couple touchdowns easy.
All right, Jeff, we need you to hit us with some value. Where are you going?
Yeah. You said you can't really go down very far.
I'm
down
going
the
to
board.
do something I never do, and I'm going to say that you should be looking at Chase McLaughlin tonight at 4,200.
Wow.
The kicker. Yes, the kicker.
That
It's
is
a dark day
unique.
here, but I've scoured all these dudes. There's about 50 tight ends on the slate. None of them are going to play more than 2 snaps each, I think, outside of Freiermuth. So give me Chase McLaughlin here. I mean, you've got a Pittsburgh defense definitely going to allow the Colts to move the ball because of how bad their secondary is. I think there'll be good opportunity for the Colts to get in field goal range a ton here. Again, we got Michael Pittman, Pierce, and Paris Campbell. The Steelers secondary just allows so many receptions that I think you're going to have a lot of opportunity for McLaughlin, who's actually been pretty good this year as well. Double-digit DK fantasy points in 2 of his last 4 games. That's what we need from our flex here at 4,200. I just don't think there's enough value to go searching for like these tertiary players in a game with a 39-point total.
All right, Pierce, we need you to hit us with a value play. Where are you going?
I've got another Cyber Monday deal for you.
Ooh.
So make sure you go TommyJohn, code DraftKings. But also on DraftKings slate tonight for 200 flat, Steven Sims. He's played over 40 snaps in each of the last 2 games since Chase Claypool was traded. Over 20 routes last week, playing out of the slot. He has a 2.6 ADOT, which is absolutely, insanely, terribly low. But it works well against the Colts defense that shuts down deep passes, that doesn't blitz a lot. They leave a lot of guys in coverage. They get pressure on the quarterback, forcing quick passes, and that's going to help. I mean, Pickett's mainly going to go for the short, quick underneath routes that should feed towards Sims. So the volume could be there. Also, the Colts 26th in yards after catch. So if he catches one of those short passes and just scampers for 15, 20 yards, he's pretty much hit value. He's going to face up against a slot cornerback that ranks outside of the top 100, a 71% completion rate, a 125 quarterback passer rating allowed. And also, if you look at Indianapolis's outside cornerbacks, they have 2 of the best with Gilmore and then Rodgers on the other side, who ranks number 2. So that's going to funnel passes more towards the slot as well. Doesn't take much to pay off at 200. Remember, code DraftKings at TommyJohn.
Wow, man. 5 games this season, 2 of them he's finished with negative fantasy points.
He was really good in the Madden Sims, though, Steven Sims. if you
That's
remember.
true. Hey, I'm glad you brought that up. Did you see the announcement today on DraftKings? Madden Sims are moving off of the YouTube page, now all over on Twitch. So for our DK Sim fan watching right now, after this show, you go to YouTube at noon. You're not going to see anything, so go over to Twitch. Pierce, what's your player prop tonight? Let's make our way to the DK Sportsbook. What you like?
Give me Kenny Pickett over his rushing total. If you look at what the Colts, as I mentioned before, they take away a lot of the deep passes. They'll give you stuff underneath. They'll allow quarterbacks to run 5 times. They've allowed quarterbacks to rush for over 22 yards. And in 3 of the last 4 games, Kenny Pickett has reached this number. I imagine he's going to be under a little bit of pressure, but there's also going to be some running lanes. He's chosen to run in the past. He might not have much of a choice tonight against this team. And then I also like Najee Harris's receiving totals, receptions over, and Najee Harris receiving yards. Indianapolis ranks the 5th most receptions to running backs, 6th most receiving yards to running backs, so a good spot for Najee.
You were a big George Pickens guy yesterday, Jeff.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think George Pickens is still like a very solid target in this game. Again, I mean, yeah, they do have good outside corners in Indianapolis, but I mean, George Pickens' stats, they're pretty insane, quite frankly. I mean, he's 3rd in overall ADOT in the league, 15.1. 3rd in overall deep targets, or top 10, in overall deep targets in the league as well. So when George Pickens, he may only show up with like a 15, 18% team target share, but pretty much every single one of his targets is just downfield. So this is a player who, may only need 4 catches to get you 80 plus yards. And I think that with a over under of 42.5, again, a game where the Steelers just on the road, probably going to be passing a little bit late in this game. I think you've got to take the over here. This prop on George Pickens, he smashed it to the over last week and it didn't move at all. So I'm not really sure what has changed too much here, but I also like looking, again, if you're looking for some bigger odds, you can go to the player parlays on DraftKings and you can get George Pickens for 100 yards and a touchdown. And I know yesterday when we looked, it was sitting around plus 1,600, plus 1,500. So George Pickens, a player, I think you just keep pounding. That big game with 100 yards is going to show up eventually before the end of the season. There's really no reason why it can't happen here. Yeah, the Colts have a pretty good defense, but Pickens has been going off for some big, spectacular plays against pretty much everyone. And eventually, we'll get one of these games where instead of catching 3 or 4 passes, you get just 5 or 6.
All right, guys, running out of time here. Real quick on your game bet, Jeff.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Colts. I just, the Steelers, decent little couple weeks here, but I'm gonna take the Colts to cover. Just straight up. I like what they're doing under Jeff Saturday. I think their defense is the main issue here. They've looked a lot better. They certainly did well at limiting the Indianapolis or the Philadelphia Eagles last week against the run and as well against the pass. Now you got a rookie quarterback in Kenny Pickett here. Probably going to be forcing him to drop back. I think the Colts are going to be stacking up against Najee Harris. The line here, only 2.5. We're at a key number here. So the fact we're still just needing the Colts just to cover this by 3, I think that's perfect. I think the Colts have the weapons on the outside to really hurt the Steelers on defense as well.
Pierce, game bet.
Under 39, and if it goes lower, keep going lower. The under has hit 14-2 in the last 16 Colts games. 14-2 for the unders. You got 2 pretty good defenses, and both offenses rank in the bottom 5 in terms of scoring and red zone scoring.
All right, Pierce, you're free to go. Please enjoy the rest of your Monday, and don't forget don't forget to use DraftKings code when you get onto TommyJohn's website later.
Yeah.
35% off.
35% off.
Doesn't get much better than that. You could use some fresh, soft clothes on your body. But Jeff, please stay right where you are because, dude, the Tigers swing like little Christmas on a Monday. Oh my God, after playing just 9 rounds over the first 11 months of the year, Tiger Woods is poised to play 7 more in the next 3 weeks. So it starts Thursday at the Hero World Challenge. Then there's the match on December 10th, followed by the Father-Son PNC Championship a week later. So yes, the Tiger swing is here. You can see he's had some good results. He's had some bad results. But we're looking for some good results right now in this segment.
Yeah, so let's have you predict where the following guys will finish at the Albany Golf Club in the Bahamas, starting with Tiger, who is plus 4,000 to win the 20-man exhibition. Where do you have him wrapping up the weekend, Jeff?
I'm going to go T9. Top 10, decent week, probably puts in a solid weekend. Look, I don't think Tiger Woods is playing or coming back to golf if he's not like healthy enough to put in 4 rounds. So is he going to suddenly just take the world by storm again? We got to temper expectations a little bit considering, what he did, but let's not forget too, it's the guy who came out, had no competitive practice, wasn't fully recovered. He made the cut at the Masters. And that was back in April. So you've got to figure he's a little bit healthier now. I don't think he's making the second comeback in 2022 without being healthy. I think Tiger Woods for top 10 this week. Yeah, half of the guys in this field are just here for vacation. You know, unless they're within like 3 shots of the lead after round 1, a lot of these guys are just going to be, you know, going in the ocean after their round and just chilling out. So I think Tiger Woods, let's call it T9. He's Tiger. He's going to be up for this. He wants to show the world that he can still do it. So give me Tiger for top 10.
All right, how do you approach betting a short stacked field like this? A little exhibition. Guys are out there feeling a little loose, having fun.
You know, because this field it's short, but like it's just chock full of elite players, right? So I actually think there's actually some very good value on the board. I mean, you might put your nose up and go 20 players. There's no one over like plus 3,000 except for like Kevin Kisner, who just got in this field at the last minute. But there's actually some pretty solid value opportunities because some of these elite players we haven't seen do well over the fall. So just like any kind of PGA event, you know, when you're looking at the top of the board, we want to look for the guys who are depressed. And I think that there's, you know, some cutoffs here in terms of odds we should be looking at. But when you get to plus 14, plus 1,600, we're looking at names like Sung Jae Im, Colin Morikawa is down there. A guy everybody loved before, like 3 months ago, Cameron Young just about won the Open Championship. Like there's legit names here hovering between plus 1,500 and plus 2,000. So, you know, you've got to take a look in a field like this at the names that are depressed. Obviously, the elite players who are coming in hot with really good form, Rahm, Tony Finau, yeah, their odds, you're basically buying the top here, but we can certainly buy the dip on a lot of names this week. And like I said, because it's stacked, such a stacked field from top to bottom, the names that we're buying low on, they're really good names. I mean, you're telling me you don't think Colin Morikawa can come here and just flip things around and beat this field? He's done it numerous times. He's already won 2 majors. So actually a lot of opportunity. You got to look down the field, look at the guys who didn't play that much in the fall, coming in with something to prove. I think that's where you're going to find your best bets this week. It
also just popped up on the DK Sportsbook. You can now bet these guys to finish top 5. Only dude who you can't get plus money on is Jon Rahm. So
speaking of Jon Rahm,
let's go.
Quietly had a great season. Tony Finau was up to plus 900, third best odds at the Hero. So anyone shorter than 1,400, Jeff, going to finish at the top of the board? What do you think?
Anyone shorter than 1,400, like, gonna win, you mean? Or
just like finish in the top 5, maybe?
Like, who are you highest on here? So we're going Hovland, Fitzpatrick, Thomas, Schauffele, Finau, Scheffler, Rahm.
We're switching up the question.
We're trying to speed it up.
Yeah.
I got you guys. Look, Jon Rahm, to me, top 5. I know it's minus 115, but with the way he's playing, I actually don't think that that's terrible odds. I do think Jon Rahm gonna come in here and probably just with his eyes closed, finish in the top 5. That's how well he's playing right now. I don't even really think like betting Jon Rahm to win this outright is a terrible idea this week. But if you're going to do that, mix him with some other players. I think the other person I'd really take a hard look at this week is Justin Thomas at plus 150 for a top 5. Again, Thomas loves these Tiger events. We haven't seen him too much, but it's a player who, I mean, you know, he's got a lot of pride. Obviously, I think from a course perspective too, him having all these par 5s to beat up on, you know, Tony Finau does that pretty well, but with just the nature of the course, it's very iron dependent because it's so open. You're going to be able to attack these pins. I think that sets up better for a guy like Justin Thomas. So Justin Thomas probably the better value there at plus 150 to finish in the top 5.
All right, before you take off, the Tom Kim Caravan, baby. Where will it be parked on Sunday? Look at us there, man.
Yeah, I mean, like, in terms of what we've seen from Tom Kim and just what he's going to be doing and where he likes to play, this could potentially be just another great setup. You know, obviously grabbed a win at the Wyndham, grabbed a win at the Shriners. These are events where you attack pins, you get aggressive, you make putts. That's what Tom Kim does, and that's exactly the formula that works, you know, in Albany at this course where it's got the, you know, the weird setup, the extra par 5s and everything. Tom Kim, plus 1,800. I'm actually surprised his odds are this big, to be honest, with what he's done. You know, you're basically saying he's got longer odds now to win than Matthew Fitzpatrick, Victor Hovland. Are those players better than Tom Kim long term? Maybe, but like lately, from what we've seen from Tom Kim on these kind of setups, I think Kim probably finishes in top 5. I mean, I don't have a real issue, you know, projecting him for a top week again. I think fading him at this point in 2022, especially in an easier course like this, kind of foolhardy. Guys just got way too much confidence, way too much youth to have any non-confidence. He probably finishes top 5 again.
Ooh,
Jeffrey, farewell. We will miss you. But hang tight, people. We're talking who to build your NBA lineups around when the sweat, presented by Tommy John, returns. We are back. Welcome to the Sweat, presented by Tommy John.
Let's go.
That says Tommy John right there. Tommy John.
Boxers.
Yep. All right. We have a 10-game slate coming our way in the association. So Jeff Pratt is here to go position by position, help us build those money-making lineups.
All right. Let's start big. Let's start beefy. Let's start at center. Can you build your lineup around a big man? If so, who's it going to be?
You can build your lineup around a big man. I'm going to pay up here and go with Anthony Davis, who is questionable, but he is expected to play today. Still, keep an eye on those injury reports. It feels like just yesterday, Lakers fans were clamoring for the team to trade Anthony Davis for pretty much everyone. And the disrespect wasn't just coming from Lakers fans either. The entire NBA community was trying to write him off. You got analysts like Charles Barkley giving him the street clothes nickname because he can never stay on the court. Everything was just trending in the wrong direction for Anthony Davis. Now, I came on the show with Gary and Thorne the morning of November 11th, and I said that the hate was getting a bit out of hand, and at that point, Anthony Davis might actually be underrated.
Yeah.
Since that show, Davis has not scored fewer than 56 fantasy points in a game. We are talking 6 straight games of elite production, and I expect him to pick up right where he left off tonight after missing last game with a calf contusion. The Pacers ranked 28th in fantasy points allowed to centers. This is a great matchup for him to stay on.
All right,
like
best
him.
forward then to build your lineup around.
This is the cheapest Zion Williamson has been all year on DraftKings, and I think you can take advantage of that. We'll address the obvious right off the bat here. Zion has not been great in his last few games. He scored less than 30 DraftKings fantasy points 2 times in his last 3, and his usage has not been high in both of those contests. That being said, it's not like he's been horrible. Just 2 games ago, he racked up 56 fantasy points and saw a 35% usage rate. So we know he's capable of those huge performances. I look at his matchup tonight. It's the Oklahoma City Thunder. It is extremely enticing. The Thunder starting front court includes a 6'6" rookie in Jalen Williams and a 7-foot, 210-pound stick and Alexei Pokusevsky. So it doesn't matter who OKC puts on Zion. He's going to bully them. That is a guarantee. This is a fantastic opportunity for him to bounce back in a huge way tonight.
Absolute nightmare
Oh wait, hold on.
matchup for the Thunder.
Before we continue, Jeff,
turn
we're
your
gonna,
mi- turn
we're
your
gonna
mic on.
unmute your mic.
Because
My mic has been muted
It's
this
been
whole
muted,
time?
but
Okay,
but
we're
it's
gonna start from the
okay.
top.
No, yeah, here I got
3,
you.
2.
It's
No,
right
I'm
here.
just kidding. It
There
is
you
going to be a
go.
nightmare matchup.
Oh,
though,
my
for-
goodness.
Just like that,
But
we're back, baby.
The good news is we
I
were
was
picking
picking
up
up on
most of
here.
your audio from her mic. So when we clip it
good.
later and put it out on another website,
Okay.
it's still going to sound terrible, but you're
Okay.
going to look good.
Wonderful.
There's my knee. All right, let's go to the guards department. Wow, look at your dude Jason Tatum too, bro. So
He's not a guard, though.
No. Is this guards or we're going to forwards? Or what are we looking at? We're looking at the top priced NBA players. But
We
I
want
see
to know
Jason.
who your favorite guard to build lineups around
I know, but I'm
is.
looking at Jason Tatum, and I just wanted to give your Celtics some credit where they were able to knock off whoever the hell they played yesterday without
Yes.
Jason Tatum.
It was the Wizards, so it wasn't that
Oh,
big
well,
of an
you know,
accomplishment.
Michael Jordan used to play for him.
Michael Jordan did used to play for them. That was quite some time
Okay,
ago.
who's your favorite guard? to
So
build
let's
lineups
go to your
around?
guard tonight now that your mic's on.
Sure. Awesome. I'm glad that you guys can hear me now. I'm going to look down the board a little bit and go with Jamal Murray today, who is really starting to become underpriced at $7K given his recent production. Murray has scored 45-plus fantasy points in 2 of his last 3 games, and his usage rate has taken a significant bump as of late as well. It's hovered around 30% 3 times in his last 4. It finally seems like the Nuggets have realized that they need production from players other than Nikola Jokic if they're going to make a deep run this year. And so far, Murray has been the biggest beneficiary of that. Tonight he's facing Houston. The Rockets are a perfect matchup for guards because they rank top 10 in pace and they're dead last in fantasy points allowed to opposing backboards. So he should have no problem staying hot tonight.
All right, Jeff, what's your favorite DFS value play?
I would imagine most NBA fans aren't watching the Philadelphia 76ers right now, which is understandable. James Harden and Tyrese Maxey have been out for a while. Joel Embiid has missed the last few games. That being said, I actually think the Sixers have been very entertaining to watch over that stretch. Tobias Harris has really thrived as the number 1 option. Shake Milton has exploded seemingly out of nowhere, and the guy I'm going to choose as my value play is George Niang, who has also really stepped up. Niang has racked up 20-plus fantasy points in 6 straight games, and he's done most of this damage as a scorer. He's finished with double-digit points in 4 of those contests, and he's shooting the 3 very well for the most part over that stretch. Tonight, they're facing the Hawks. Atlanta ranks 25th in fantasy points allowed to forwards. Niang should maintain his expanded role with or without Joel Embiid in the lineup tonight.
Jeff Pratt, your time here is done.
Wow.
Thanks
Yeah.
for hanging with us. Yeah, we got to
We
wrap.
ran really heavy with the football segment.
Yeah, and with your mic issue. But I'm glad you brought up the Wizards. I know you said that they're not that fantastic. They are going to be home against the T-Wolves tonight. So there's not a better time than right now than to mention to our users and our friends in Maryland, DraftKings Sportsbook is now live in your state. New customers right now, listen to me, can bet $5 and get $200 in free bets instantly. Bet $5 right now, get $200 in free bets instantly. Trust me, because I read what our smart producer put in the script. Also in the script, what's coming up next?
Welcome to The Sweat, presented by Tommy John. It is time to talk World Cup with RotoWire's AJ Scholes. So we're going to get the best bets for the World Cup games on Tuesday.
That's
Before
right.
we jump into all that, so that's like a look at what's going down on Tuesday.
Yeah.
Obviously, the United States has a big test. Also, the Wales-England game going to be crazy. But AJ, let's get your quick reaction from the game over the weekend. U.S.-England. We needed to win or tie to stay alive, and we did it. We did it. So how did you feel about that game? A lot of people saying, that offensively we were like we could have had some more opportunities. We're playing a little safe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would have liked to see a little bit more attack out of the U.S. Really, we could have lost that game and had just 1 point and still had a chance to advance if we beat Iran. So I really don't think we needed the draw necessarily here. So I would have liked them to push forward more. It speaks to the fact that we don't really have a good answer at striker right now and could use some definite help at that point.
Dude, U.S. now can advance with a win against Iran, can win the group with a win over Iran, and a Wales win over England, or just beat Iran by 5 goals.
But or they're out. They have
And a
to
tie
win.
between England and Wales. Okay, yes, so they have to win tomorrow, right? What is a bet you like from this game?
If the U.S. is going to advance, they got to win, right? So just take them on the money line here. I don't see this game playing to a draw. Either the U.S. is going to push the attack and get a win, or Iran's going to be able to kind of counter and have some open opportunities. I just don't see draw coming from this one. So I like the U.S. just straight up on the money line. I think they should be the better team here. I would expect Iran maybe sits back and just kind of plays on the counter. So our shot on target props on the DK Sportsbook should pretty much be in play for any player you want to look at, because the U.S. should get plenty of pressure on the Iranian side.
All right, what do we think? Can Wales shake things up with a win versus England? What's a bet here? What do we think?
Yeah, I really don't think so. Wales looks pretty bad against Iran, and even versus the United States. I know they got the draw against us, but I think the goal here is to get some value out of England. Looking at the spread, you can actually get England minus a goal and a half. Comes in at really good value at plus 130 here. I'd consider moving all the way to minus 2.5 to get plus 350 if you want to go big in this one. But the fact that you can get England minus a goal and a half at plus value is a really good spot.
All right, let's go Netherlands. Netherlands should easily take care of Qatar, which you said before you popped on. It's Qatar and Canada are the only two teams that have been eliminated from advancing. But do you have a bet in this game?
Yeah, I like some of the player parlays in this one for the Netherlands, specifically looking at Memphis Depay here to score and Denmark to win comes in at minus 110. You can get some good value there. Cody Gakpo is similarly in the player parlays is plus 110. These are a good way to get some solid value. I don't really like the spread in this one because the only way to get positive value is to go all the way to minus 2.5 goals for Netherlands. That's a little bit more risk than I want to take here. So I'll turn to the goal score parlays, but there's a number of guys you could use here. My favorites are just Depay and Gakpo.
All right, finally, Ecuador and Senegal. Senegal got a chance to advance here? What's your bet?
I do think they have a chance. It should be a pretty close matchup here, so I really don't want to bet either side. I would go with the goal scorer props here. Enter Valencia comes in at plus 190. He's currently tied with the Golden Boot lead through the opening games here with 3 goals. I wouldn't be shocked to see him get another, but I'm just not confident on either side in this game. I could see it going either way. Draw, most definitely a possibility in this one as well. So I'm staying away from the money line on this one.
All right, dude. 2 o'clock today. Uruguay, Portugal. Quick bet for this one. 2 o'clock Eastern time.
Yeah, been a busy goal scoring day. We've got 11 goals through the first 2 matches this morning. So I would look at the total in this one and go over 2.5 comes in at plus 125 value. Obviously, Uruguay played in that goalless draw to open it up, but Portugal's first match went 3-2. So I think we should see plenty of goals in this one as well.
All right, thank you, AJ. You're going to stay here because
stay.
we're just going to bring in Paul Bruno.
Who is a member of one of 2 nations that have already been eliminated
Canada!
from advancing at the World Cup.
Boom. Roasted.
Listen to these slagging shots. I'm going to interrupt you right off the bat and say, remember the qualifier, AJ, when we had the chance to play twice, Canada, USA? How did those games turn out?
I just remember
How did
what's
those games
happened
turn
lately.
out? And then the big game on the weekend that nobody's talked about yet, the Penguins host the Leafs. What happened there?
Oh,
I feel
wow.
like
I really don't remember. I've been so
I
focused
feel like
on the
the-
World Cup
Oh.
lately. It's just hard
I
to
feel like the
keep it
villain
all
in the
track.
WWE, man.
Paul,
Let's go.
Paul,
Let's
on the
rock.
bright side, Canada did score its first goal ever in the World Cup in that loss.
It was a beauty too. What a nice play. 68 seconds in, but after that, the roof fell in. So.
Yeah, and I see
That
you
was
and
that.
I see you and Anna going back and forth too about sticky puck there on Twitter. So we have a 6-game NHL slate tonight.
We do.
Let's talk best center on DraftKings. Who do you like, Paul?
Well, I got to stick with the Leafs, right? They're
Yeah.
playing against Detroit. John Tavares, $6,100. Look, he's better than a point per game clip all season long, and the Leafs have a huge edge at center with the wings. The only center of note that they will ice tonight is Dylan Larkin. He can't play against both these guys, so I think he's going to go head-to-head against Matthews, and that leaves Tavares with a huge edge. Both teams are dealing with a whole rash of injuries, and the Leafs have run up some big scores against Detroit, so I look for that to continue this evening. Then in another game that I'm looking at where a center can shine is Ryan Nugent-Hopkins for $4,900 versus Florida. They're missing their key center as well, Alex Barkov. So Ryan Nugent-Hopkins should have a nice matchup regardless of who of the other centers Florida will put up against him. And don't forget, he plays a ton of power play time as well as the C2 role. He's at 22 points in 21 games. That's well worth the $4,900 ticket.
AJ, how much money you spending there at center?
Yeah, I like going up to the top, but not all the way. I'm going to go with Jack Eichel at 7,900. It's pretty expensive, but you consider he's facing a Blue Jacket squad that has conceded 4.2 goals per game this season. It's the best matchup of anybody at the top of the board compared to McDavid, Matthews, or Thompson. And so I really think if you're going to pay up, Eichel is worth targeting here. Pretty quiet in his last two matchups with no points and just 3 shots. But I would expect him to get back on track soon, and this is the perfect way to do it.
All right, take us to the wings and things department, AJ. Where do you want to go? You could get Chris Kreider for $5,900. Scored his 10th goal of the season in Saturday's loss to the Oilers.
Yeah, I'm a little leery about that matchup, so I'm going to stay away from that one. And instead, I'm going to look to Dallas here. You have to consider the Blues have one of the worst penalty kills in the league. And so stacking some of the Stars' #1 power play options is a good target tonight. For me, that starts with Joe Pavelski at 5,200. Really good discounted price compared to the top of the board. He's averaging nearly 3 minutes of power play ice time over the last 14 days. And that includes 545 of power play opportunities in his last game here.
All right, what do we think, Paul? Who do you like on the wing?
I'm sticking with the Atlantic Division for a couple of guys. Nikita Kucherov at $7,100 looks like a low price because he's on such a roll of late. 8 points in his last 4 games played, while the Sabres have lost 9 of their last 11. And really what we're seeing there is goaltending has really become the issue that I thought it would be. They've really been exposed of late. They've got 1 injury, and the other 2 guys just can't seem to hold the fort. So I think it could be a points night for Kucherov and company. I also like Mitch Marner. He's got a 16-game point streak. That's a league high, I think, this year. 3rd in the league overall in assists. And how does he only cost $5,400 tonight? He's coming off a season high 8 shots on goal in the win over Pitt on the weekend. He's feeling it, folks, and I think that's a great price for him tonight.
Hey, Paul, as we make our way back to the blue line here, man, a couple guys going to cost you at least $7,000, but down around 6. Sergachev, dude, been on a ridiculous pace. 9 points in his last 6 games, including 5 with the extra, man. What do you think?
That's a great call too, Emerson. But I like to look at the premier defenseman on this slate tonight, and his running mate is Victor Hedman. His points are not there like we've seen him in the past, but it looks like he's really been discounted at $5,400. You get a premier scoring D-man against that suspect goalie situation. I think it's a points night, like I said, and Hedman should be a part of that. Don't forget, he still anchors the power play, and even though his scoring exploits are off career norms, this is a great place to get that righted. I also like the matchup for Darnell Nurse against the Florida club that's allowed 23 goals against in their last 5 games played, so they're leaking on the back end. The big blue liner will get lots of minutes in offensive zone starts and also top power play time. You can get him for only $4,300.
AJ, who's your dude with the Blue Man crew?
Yeah, I'm going to go back to stacking against the St. Louis Blues. Weak penalty kill and target Miro Heiskanen at 5,300 tonight. 3 points in his last 2 contests, and a pair of those came with the man advantage. Obviously, the 16-game goal drought is a concern. No argument there, but he's got 12 helpers over that stretch and 39 shots, so a decent shot volume for no goals coming. It's going to happen eventually for him. I think facing this really weak Blues penalty kill is a great opportunity for him.
Okay, AJ. Need your best value play on the night. So got to save some money somewhere. Where is it going to be?
Yeah, I'm going to circle back to the Vegas Golden Knights here in their matchup with Columbus. I love William Karlsson here at 3,900. 8 shots in his last 3 matchups, so it's a pretty decent floor for that price tag. He gets power play chances, 2 points in his last 3, and that great matchup with the leaky Blues defense.
Paul, value. Save us some money.
I like the call on Willie Karlsson. Sorry, I jumped in there, but I was excited to add to what AJ just said. He's got his long-time running mates running with him at a high level, and they get a favorable assignment against lesser opposition because you know that Columbus is going to be keying on the Eichel line. So that's a key consideration that makes that $3,900 very attractive. But I also like Nick Paul, a top scorer of late. He finds himself playing second-line minutes between Stamkos and Killorn. You note that this guy's more of a defensive specialist, but he also has 7 points in his last 6 games. I already panned the Buffalo situation, so this looks like another inviting option for only $3,800.
Paul, we'll get you out of here with this. Let's go to the DK Sportsbook. Best bet on the board tonight. Looking at an underdog by any chance?
No, I'm looking at some good lines that favor the favorites here in terms of the puck line, and I'm sticking with the Atlantic Division, where I've been hammering a couple of these games, and there's no reason to stop now. I see the Leafs over Detroit by 1.5 for plus 155. That's a great value, and I think the Lightning over Buffalo in a romp by the same 1.5 for a plus 140. That looks like 2 easy wins and big money coming my way.
AJ, what are you nodding your head in agreement for?
Yeah, I agree with Paul on that Lightning pick for them to cover on the puck line here at plus 140 against the Sabres team that's been giving up a decent amount of goals. So I really like that one. I would add one more puck line and consider Vegas at minus 1.5.
Yeah.
Obviously, you have to give up a little bit of juice at minus 120 here, but I think it's still worth it.
All right, good stuff, guys. Appreciate the time. As always, that is a show. Madden begins after this show. And do not forget, Madden is moving over to Twitch.
Yeah, that's right. And TommyJohn, shout out for the swag. Thanks for sponsoring us today. And do not forget, head to the TommyJohn website. Use promo code DraftKings. You're going to get 35% off. Do we get to keep these?
Yeah,
or do we have
definitely
to
we do.
return
I'm
them?
not giving this back.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again for this, TommyJohn. It is very soft and comfortable.
Yes,
and I look
thank you,
forward to
Mr.
wearing it a lot.
TommyJohn.
I have to return the underwear, I'm being told now in my ear by the producer.
Okay, be quiet. We'll be back tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. The slate is going to be on this evening with Glash and Jeff. We'll see you tomorrow.
Happy birthday, Drew!